In this episode, we're going to take a look at more of the best G.I. Joe figure accessories. This time, it's 1988, so stick around. Hello friends, and welcome to Days of Dorker Past. My name's Rob, and in this episode, we're going to talk about more of the best G.I. Joe figure accessories. This time, we're looking at 1988. 1988 was a really odd year for G.I. Joe. We were a year removed from the movie, 2 years removed from the TV show, and we're a year away from the Deke incarnation of the show. It's also the first year that G.I. Joe actively was selling repaints of their figures with Tiger Force and the Night Force. One of the neat things about 1988 was the figures came packaged with little micro figures, or vehicles I think in some cases, and some of the figures came packaged with camouflage face paint. These were just neat little add-ons to figures you knew you're already going to buy. So let's kick things off with one of my personal favorites, Blizzard. The gear that made Blizzard awesome, he came with a helmet. That, if you look at his package art, has this weird little nose thing over it. I guess that helps him to breathe in the Arctic conditions. He came with awesome ice boot, like clamp-on things for his boots that would fit up into the figure's foothole. He came with a pistol and an Uzi that was wrapped up in cloth, all white, unfortunately. And he came with a backpack that had handlebars on it that you could add his skis to make like an awesome little sled vehicle. I hate to say that there's another Arctic Joe as cool as Snowjob, but Blizzard definitely was. Number 2 on the list is Charbroil. Again, I hate to say that a new figure is better than one of the originals because I love Blowtorch so much. But Charbroil was a great flamethrower trooper that joined the Joe ranks. He had an awesome helmet, and his backpack had an awesome hologram sticker on it, a lot like the Bat's chest plate hologram. He also came with a really awesome blowtorch and a hose that would connect the backpack to the gun. The figure's browns are a little bit more subdued than Blowtorch's reds and yellows, but it's still very awesome. I mean, I hate to say it, but I like the reds and yellows better, but Charbroil's brown color scheme is still pretty cool. Next on the list is Hardball. Now this is a character I never had as a kid, but I always liked it. I always kind of liked the real life clothes mixed with military fatigues look of characters like Chuckles or Bazooka. Now with Hardball, you had a dude wearing army fatigue pants, but he had a baseball jersey on and a baseball hat. The gear that made him cool was his multi-shot grenade launcher with its removable drum. Now, this spinning drum was just really neat and awesome. He came with a backpack that was chock full of other grenades that he could load into his grenade launcher. I mean, of course they weren't removable, but they were sculpted onto it and they looked awesome. Number 4 on the list is one of my personal favorite Joes of all time, and that's Hit and Run. As far as weapons go, Hit and Run came with a Colt 9mm machine gun. Awesome. It's like a little mini M16. It is a great visual gun. He also came with this awesomely huge, like Bowie knife machete. Super awesome. Now, the machete, Bowie knife, whatever you want to call, could be sheathed into his duffel bag. Now, his duffel bag, inside of it had string, and he had a grappling hook that you could help rappel him up and down surfaces. On top of all that, Hit and Run is just a awesomely designed character, completely covered in camouflage from head to toe. Next on the list is Repeater. He didn't come with a lot of gear, but what it was great. Repeater came with a large machine gun that actually had a pivoting system that went into his hip into the gun. It is a lot like the movie Aliens, where they had those large machine guns that were on a pivot system to counter the weight. He came with that and a backpack. He had a very basic army type of fatigue, and I mean, that's just classic in its own right. But that machine gun, I mean, you could pretend that he was part of the Colonial Marines taking out aliens. And that alone makes him one of the best Joes with accessories. Next is Shockwave. I just love this character. Shockwave was the SWAT specialist. His awesome blue urban camouflage and flak jacket were awesome. He came with a mask on that you could have him pass off as a ninja if you were filing out your ninja forces for G.I. Joe. He came with a backpack that an awesome knife could fit into, and he also came with a pistol and an awesome Uzi with large silencer attached to it. Shockwave is a classic character no matter how you look at it. Next on the list is Spearhead and Max. Spearhead was the point man for G.I. Joe, and Max was his bobcat pet. Kicking it up a notch from your typical dogs that came in the past, or birds, a bobcat is awesome. He was a great little sculpt, great little addition to G.I. Joe. But the gear that Spearhead came with, he came with a massive rifle with a bayonet attached to it, which unfortunately I actually cut off so he could have a knife. Yeah, probably a bonehead move, but it was cool to have another knife to add to your armory. He came with a large machete, a helmet, and a backpack. This was another great character. Next is the Astro Viper. He came with an awesome backpack that you could attach handles to go into his hands, that he could control himself as he flew through space. There were two guns that attached to the back end of the backpack that they came out past his shoulders, and he came with hoses that attached to everything. Pair that with an awesome oversized helmet, a great addition to the Cobra forces. Next on the list is the Hydro Viper. The Hydro Viper itself is an awesome figure with his webbed hand and awesome purple color scheme. He has an awesome dragon-esque mask that I would put on other characters. It actually had the eye holes cut out, which was a neat addition. I don't think any other masks or helmets at the time did that. He came with a harpoon gun, a gnarly like lightning bolt knife, a manta ray pet, awesome flippers that kind of kept up the dragon sea serpent motif, an oxygen backpack, and hoses. Awesome character. If I had the money to troop build, that dude would be on the top of my list. Now for an honorable mention, and that would be Road Pig. I'm a big fan of Road Pig. I mean, any addition to the Dreadnoughts was awesome. But what made him cool was his total aesthetic from Mad Max. He actually had the little hand crossbow or wrist launched crossbow, just like one of the characters from Mad Max. The look of that character, and a cinder block on a stick. That's just a gnarly weapon. You imagine getting hit with a cinder block? Now imagine that on a stick. Dude ain't nothing to mess with. Team that up with an awesome linebackers football padding that went over his head, that went over his shoulders. Dude was awesome. But he gets an honorable mention just because it is a little weird, and yeah, G.I. Joe was heading to darker territory by then. Now, number 10 on the list is, again, one of my favorite characters, and I'm sure it's everybody else's. But that's Storm Shadow version 2. They totally redesigned Storm Shadow. They gave him cool white and gray camouflage. They gave him a compound bow this time around, a red backpack, a red katana, and ninja claws. Right there, I was a big fan of Wolverine as a kid. I mean, I still am. But those claws Dang, that could put G.I. Joe in the Marvel Universe. I mean, they were in the Marvel... You know what I mean. Yo, Joe! Anyway, that was just a quick look at some of the best G.I. Joe figure accessories from the year 1988. It's not as big a list as some of the previous years or some of the ones coming up, but I think I hit all the high points. Let me know if there's any other characters with cool accessories I forgot. And if you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe. Hit the little bell to be notified whenever there's a new episode. And if you got something to say, please say it. I love hearing all the feedback. I love reaching out and touching all you people out there. And I really didn't mean it to sound like that. I just like talking to you. Anyway, until next time, keep being rad, stay dorky, peace out.